as usual, we have founder of the Moonshot and our Monday guy, Kenny McAndrews, to break down 3 games this season. What's up, Mooney Gang? In the hoodie, what's up?
What's going on, fellas? How we doing? Alex, I'm sick too, so something's going around. I think it's just the fall weather, the changing of the seasons. I'm not a big daylight savings guy. I need my sunlight, and I think that's just it's throwing the system off because I'm battling it this morning for sure.
I am absolutely with you on that, and I hate when it's 5 o'clock, you get done work, and it's dark. And when you start work, it's dark. It's just a terrible time. But football is here. Week 10 has concluded. We'll start with the first game of your choice, the New Orleans Saints. And another future I have, Kenny, is the Saints to win this division. So kind of on the Bills and the Saints sweat, as they would say. The Saints in Minnesota to take on the now Joshua Dobbs Minnesota Vikings. And he does just that. This is now back-to-back weeks. He's proven that he should be a QB1 in this league. And you said it last week. How many other quarterbacks is he above? I mean, is there 32 quarterbacks better than Joshua Dobbs? I don't know if we can go that far. Big win for the Vikings, 27-19. Initial thoughts on this game? We saw Alexander Madison go down with that concussion late in that third quarter. Vikings trying to stay alive in this NFC North division here, 6-4 after this win, 27-19 over the Saints. What do you got here, Kenny?
I mean, dude, you look at the Vikings team. Right now, I mean, I think if you had to make a bet on who's going to be the seventh NFC team to squeak into the playoffs, the Vikings have somehow put themselves in a position to have a real shot here. They've won 5 straight. They're now 6-4 in the year. Weirdly, they're 5-0 without Justin Jefferson. So was Justin Jefferson the problem? I don't think so, obviously, but exciting that it looks like he's trying to come back. I think initially when he went down, the team had no playoff aspirations. There was no point in rushing back from an injury. Now it's the Joshua Dobbs experience. The team's got the juice. We could see him as early as next week. And looking forward, they've got an easy schedule. So they're sitting at 6-4. It's hard not to be excited for Josh Dobbs here. The one thing that I want to say on this, though, I don't know if you guys are already ticket holders for this, but I'm seeing a lot of hype on Joshua Dobbs comeback player of the year.
Yes.
I love Joshua Dobbs. I think what's happening here is awesome. It's one of the best stories in the year this year. What is he coming back from? I mean, if it was like most improved player or like come up of the year, like come back, what is he coming back from? He was drafted to be a backup quarterback. He's been a backup quarterback. Like you can't come back from, no disrespect, but you can't come back from nothing. And I feel like people keep making the comparison to Geno Smith winning it last year. Geno Smith was a high draft pick, was an NFL starter for 2 years, fell off a cliff, was labeled a bust, and then reappeared 5 years later with a new team and took him to the playoffs. Like that's a legitimate comeback. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it with Josh Dobbs, but again, the books clearly are a little nervous about it. He's down to like 400 on certain markets.
Damn.
But it's one that I'm going to have, I think, a lot of debate on if he keeps this up the rest of the year. Because, again, I'm rooting for him. I think it's a great story. It's just, I think comeback player of the year is a stretch. It doesn't really make sense as to what's happening here, but I digress.
I agree, and I'm riding that Aaron Rodgers ticket with you, so I'm hopeful for that. It was crazy to see T.J. Hawkinson get busy like that. Like, if you had that T.J. Hawkinson ticket, good for you. You know, I can only do so much gassing at Josh Dobbs. I'm praying for Derek Carr. He took that big hit. You know I love Jameis Winston. I love seeing him come in. And I feel so bad for anybody who altered Olave to 100 because he was like not getting involved early in the game. Jameis Winston comes in. He starts hitting Olave. He gets the jump ball in the corner of the end zone.
Disgusting.
But then the Jameis experience in full effect with the 2 turnovers of the 2-minute drill. And it's like, bro, we could have won this game. This game was so big for the Saints, so big for your ticket too. And I feel like they were so close. And this is one of those swing games like, if they have Derek still to win this game, I don't know, but you just get Josh Dobbs by the Vikings, and that's a crushing loss for the Saints.
I think
they got Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, like,
one of my best calls in my fantasy league yesterday was adding Josh Dobbs yesterday morning, and then taking Derek Carr out and putting Josh Dobbs in. It was like a 20-point swing from 25 for Dobbs and 5 for Carr. So
W?
But like even if you look, we've talked last week about different teams within the run game. You know, we were talking about the Bengals last week with it. We were talking about the Bills last week with it as well. I mean, you look at both these teams with Minnesota and New Orleans. Again, both of these quarterbacks, I guess now you can say 3 quarterbacks in this game, had to deal with this game with little to no run game. You look at the Saints, even just barely Alvin Kamara's getting involved. If he's not getting that 10 to 13 catches a game, as a running back, they really don't have a run game. So I'm just surprised that the Saints even fought back to make this a game because I was rooting heavily for them. But for the Vikings, they're 2 games back now from the line. And that's a game that we'll get to later. But if you look at it, a lot of people were writing Minnesota off the boat. We were making them walk the plank. Game was over.
Talk about trade this guy to this guy.
Season's
and
over.
Look, even if they don't catch the Lions, and I think it would be a bit of a stretch. I think they're in the driver's seat to get this last wild card spot, and they've got a dream schedule the next couple of weeks in Denver, home against the Bears, in Vegas. They could be sitting at 9-4, midway through December. So a lot to be excited about here for Minnesota fans. Good for Josh Dobbs.
100%. Before we head over to this Browns and Ravens game, which was an absolute shit show. Let's just chat about a little bit about your tickets for the Moonshot. Reading your tweet here from 3 out of 4 on straights, and Christian Watson cost you a lot of money here. Before we get into that, let's just talk about some of these picks here. Over 2.5 receptions for Kyle Phillips. Easy cash at plus 124. Then you had Bijan Robinson, our guy that we just absolutely had a fun time talking about last week, able to get into the end zone. And then another one here, Christian McCaffrey, although he does not get in the end zone, he does have 5 catches at plus 105.
Respect for Shanahan trying to feed him. You love a coach that actually cares about his players like that. I thought that was pretty cool. They at least try.
No touchdown in 17 straight games. It's just unbelievable. First time without it. And then one of the big ones here as well. Kenny McAndrews and the Moonshot love taking tight ends at 25 receiving yards in each half, plus 750 again. This time, it's not Dalton Kincaid, it's George Kittle. Nice little pick there.
Dude, we'd be a lot more profitable if we didn't do anything else and just bet on this market, I think, for the rest of the year, because it's the only thing that's been a sure thing. But that Kittle price just felt too low, man. And
plus 750
again, if you need any justification for some of these, it was plus 750 for 25 each half. And I think 90 plus alt yards was 700. So it's what do you think is more likely? He gets 90 in the game or he gets 25 each half? I just think they give you way too good of a deal on these sometimes. So we got Kincaid tonight. I can already tell you ahead of time. It's a mandatory donation at this point. But they're fun markets, man, and I think they're very generous.
I also want to quickly touch on your under 112.5 passing yards live line for Tommy DeVito.
Just save my afternoon.
Literally save my afternoon.
Sure. Wait, can you just shine some light on DraftKings Sportsbook's winning slips and how ugly they look?
So I've got a couple of friends that work with DraftKings that have done some cool stuff for Mooney Gang, and I've had a few conversations with them, and I spoke with somebody in their marketing team last week, and I gave them this feedback. I said, look, man, as a business owner, my biggest asset is a winning bet slip, and just no bullshit. I'm sorry. Your bet slips are horrible. You look at the FanDuel winning ticket, it is it looks like it's in a shrine.
It gives you dopamine.
Is shiny. It is extravagant. And the DraftKings ones, you have to you need reading glasses to make out what the winning market is. And then on the way they mark them up with look at the DeVito one, right? It's the grossest looking, weirdest ticket ever, where it takes you a second to figure out what the actual bet is. So one day they're going to figure out that they got to make these look better so people aren't embarrassed to show them to people. But yeah, man, I got to give love to my brother-in-law. He texted me at halftime and said, yo, this kid sucks. His over-under is 110. How in the world is this not an absolute hammer? And I looked at it for 5 seconds and went, yeah, let's do that. I thought there was a chance they might throw Matt Barkley in there at some point too. So it was sweat-free. He never had a chance. Thank you, Tommy DeVito. Thank you for your Giants for being incompetent. That was some easy money.
I could have told you that. The crazy part of that, the crazy stat, real quick, is 89-17 in the season series, Cowboys-Giants. 89-17, Cowboys above the Giants. Just a different class, a different world that this team is in. We all knew they were going to get their asses kicked, but a showing like that was certainly not what I wanted to watch at a 425 game. Just making the 1 o'clock game.
Dude. Dude, the spread, I think it closed at 17.5, and I'm not too much of a spread better nowadays, but I don't know how the spread wasn't 30.
I agree. I agree.
The only scenario where you guys would have covered is if Dak threw multiple pick sixes. Other than that, I didn't know how else. I didn't know your guys' path to points.
Yeah, the stat was that the Cowboys now covered the largest spread of the season, which was 17.5. It came up from 15.5 too. But let's move over to the AFC North. In my opinion, the best division in football. Browns with a top tier defense get this win on not one, but 2 deflected tip interceptions returned for touchdowns. Defense holds them into the game, gives them a chance to win it for that late field goal. 33-31 for the Ravens. We were talking about this division last week with the Bengals getting a big win over the Bills last week, and the Ravens' upcoming schedule, we're going to have Bengals and Ravens. I believe that's next week. Just a huge division. You saw the Steelers get the win yesterday afternoon as well. What a huge win for the Browns, keeping this conversation alive for their division hopes. Now just one win out from the Ravens. Big win. What do you got on this one, Kenny?
Yeah, man. So this was similar to so you have Ravens Bengals this Thursday. Like that essentially is it's a half playoff game. And this to an extent was the same. I wanted to talk about this one just because it was an outstanding game to begin with, but it was one of the few, I would say, like obscure spots that I got right yesterday. I loved the Browns yesterday. I love the Browns outright. I talked about it on my stream a good amount. Just like if you need one weird underdog money line today, my money would be on Cleveland. And the funny thing was there was like 3 different points in this game where the game was so clearly over and the Browns were so dead. And the fact that they found a way to tough this out and battle back. I mean, it was like, it's got to be the best Browns win in years. Like if you're a Browns fan, I find it hard to believe you've had any wins that are like this with this amount of meaning to it, at least in the last 5-10 years. Deshaun Watson was magnificent in the second half. I don't think he threw an incomplete pass. Kareem Hunt with his 6th touchdown in his last 5 games, which I think is just like slept on. I don't think anyone realized how much they're featuring him down by the goal line. He is a touchdown machine right now. And again, man, like the Browns after this, then they play the Steelers, then they're in Denver, and they play the Rams, and then they're home against the Jaguars. Like the Browns could be very easily sitting at 8-3 heading into December, and that is just a tremendous spot to be in for a team that I don't think has gotten anywhere near the amount of respect that they probably deserve for how good this defense is. And then for the Ravens, it's another game where for whatever reason they just take their foot off the gas. Like they have the ability to score 50 every single game, and somehow they find a way to just completely just stop playing on offense in second halves of games and keep teams alive. And again, I talked about Kareem Hunt. I think the only player with more touchdowns in their last 5 games is Gus Edwards. Fine. He's great by the goal. He's great at the goal line. Use him. He's a big dude. But can we give Keaton Mitchell the ball more? I mean, I don't, it's like Devin A-Chain, where every time he touches the ball, it's 30 yards. He had a 45-yard TD yesterday. I think he had 4 touches for a total of like 80 yards. I don't think he touched the ball in the second half. Like, how does that happen? So if you're a Ravens fan, you scratch your head because this loss is bad. If you're a Browns fan, you're ecstatic. And Ravens, you got to sack up because you have another borderline playoff game against the Bengals on Thursday.
That was the complete collapse on the Ravens part. Like they come out the game with the Pat and Kyle Hamilton blitz pick 6. Let's go. Let's get it going. Keaton Mitchell's getting moving. I had a lot to say about that offense start of the season. They start moving. Like I'm like, okay, maybe I was too late for the Browns defense. Let's see this big game going. Second half, I'll say that Browns defense stepped up and it started, I think, with Myles Garrett. He had a couple plays where he got some sacks, was just moving tackles off the point, like getting busy. It's just, I don't understand what we're doing in the second half, though, with the Ravens. Like, there's at least 4 to 5 different points on offense where we could just put this game away. We have our patented Zay Flowers play we can run. We have Mark Andrews. I don't know what the hell is going on. Keaton Mitchell's highlighted for literally 5 minutes of the game, and that is just a ghost. Like, it's unbelievable. What were you about to say, Kenny?
And then just even like, it's late second half. I think it's 24-17. Browns get a big stop. They're getting the ball back, and then they muff the punt.
Yep.
So at that point, they're like, okay, game's over. Like that was their chance to come back. Former Raven, by the way, a sleeper cell agent, I guess, James Prochet muffs the punt. They make a great defensive stance. 3rd down, they're about to get off the field and only give up the field goal. A BS defensive holding flag extends the drive, and then the Ravens score to put them up 2 touchdowns. Like now, the game is 1,000% over. And somehow, some way, the Cleveland Browns find a way.
One thing I will say, too, Njoku was making huge plays, like just big chunk plays. And I thought, like, maybe, like, because you're kind of looking for Amari Cooper had a good day, but you're looking for Amari Cooper in those situations. And it was good to see that they can lean on other guys. It was Njoku, some big runs by Jerome Ford. You see the whole O-line getting to him, push him in the first down. That was a big, gritty win by the Browns. I'm super impressed by that.
Looking at the this AFC North, and we talked a lot about it last week, and the schedule continues for the rest of the season. If you had to look at a winner of this division with it being so tight, obviously content-based question here, Kenny, what are we kind of leaning towards here? It doesn't have to be a solidified answer here, but what are we kind of where's the early leans on this division of your winner?
It's tough, right? Because I came on the show last week and I was steadfast in my belief that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's the game we're about to talk to. I mean, they just lost the game that they couldn't lose. So Dude, it's up for grabs. I think gun to my head right now. I think the Ravens still probably take the division. I think if the Bengals are going to do anything, I think they're going to do it via a wild card spot, and then they're going to have to just win a couple extra games in the playoffs here. So I think right now, I think the Ravens to win the division is still a fair bet. But I would be curious to see if I don't know if books even offer like live division winners, because I think like the Browns are in a really unique spot here. Their schedule is terrible the next couple of weeks here. So I think like I think my heart says Ravens, but I don't know, man. I think the Browns could do it. I'm not buying into the Steelers. I know they keep winning these gross
You're
games.
right.
You gotta respect 6-3. I just my eyes are telling me this team stinks. I can't get behind them.
I cannot get behind this goddamn Kenny Pickett Steelers at all. Let's move over to another absolute banger of a game on Sunday. The Lions win 41-38 against the Chargers as the Lions now move to 7-2 on the year, right behind the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, as a Giants fan, it's tough for me to say this, but I can't even put the Lions in the caliber of the Eagles right now. Is that too far of a stretch to say?
Maybe.
Personally, I cannot do it. I think the Eagles are well far and ahead of the Lions, but record-wise, you know, you're always going to be in that contention there in that conversation. Biggest thing with the Chargers here in this loss, they now move to 4-5, and 4 of those 5 losses are one-score games, other than the one game against the Chiefs where they lost like 31-17 or something like that. But other than that, one-score games. We continue to talk about this Chargers team. One-score game after one-score game, and loss after loss. This team has to step up. Kellen Moore's got to step up. Herbert's got to step up. It's a game we got to win. Fought back. It was a pinball game all game, back and forth, and the Lions able to come up with that late field goal to win this one 41-38. Kenny, give us our early thoughts on this big game.
I mean, I don't think anybody coming into this had doubts in how real the Lions were, but it was good to see them get a tough win on the road. I mean, this team is scary in Ford Field. That crowd gets nuts. They're a different team at home, and just for his career, Jared Goff has never been the same player on the road than he is back at home. And good to see him. I mean, he was lights out, 23-33, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns in a game where, again, the thing about the Lions is their offense it's been amazing all year, and it was tremendous last year too, but the crutch has always been the defense. If they were winning games last year, they had to score 35 points. And the difference between the Lions this year is that there's been a couple of games where their defense has won them games where you never saw that from this team last year. And in a game where like it was the race to 40, they had to score 41 points. They got it done. 7-2. The team is as legitimate as it gets. I still have no fear in them whatsoever. It's not that I don't respect them. It's not that I don't think I have a blind spot. I am very confident in how the Eagles match up against this team. I have no fear in the Detroit Lions. And again, this clip can bite me in the ass. It's not meant to be disrespectful. I think they're a great team. They're likable. Dan Campbell's the man. I still think they're an order of magnitude below where the Philadelphia Eagles are.
I 100% agree.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm lit. My uncle's out there that lit for the Lions. Like I'm happy for him, but they can get to that tier. But I think the Eagles win that matchup. The Jahmyr Gibbs, like you think it's the all Jahmyr Gibbs show, and he was doing his thing too. But then David Montgomery's making crazy plays, cut, making guys fall,
75-yard
and then each other like, yo, what's up with that? David Montgomery's finding his legs. Amon-Ra St. Brown's elite, continues to be elite. The thing you said that I like the most about the Lions was like they can find ways to win different games. Like that first game of the season against KC, which you thought would maybe be a shootout, was like a defensive grueler, gritty game. Then they come here and show you the ability to win the shootout versus the Chargers, and the Chargers are going to hand you games like they could have came back. My boy placed the best ticket I saw the day. Keenan Allen live, 2 touchdowns plus 1,900. Gets that. You think, okay, the Chargers going to do their thing. Come back, and I just... Like, can they get a stop ever when they need to? Like, I thought they had a defensive coach. We've got defensive coordinators, and it's the same thing every single year. Like, I don't understand going forward, Kenny, or what would you do if you was a Chargers? Because it's the same thing every year. Do we have to get rid of the head coach at this point? Like, what is the answer?
It's this team is too loaded. Herbert is too
Way
good,
too.
and the hype is too real for this team to continue to underperform. I still thought they should have fired him after he botched the potential tie with the Raiders last year. You remember that?
Yeah,
and again, they said after the fact, him calling that timeout changed it. Like if he didn't call a timeout, they were kind of just in limbo. They were going to let the clock go. So I think he should have gotten fired immediately after that game in the press conference. I was pretty surprised to see them bring him back. This team at 4-5 is just an outright disappointment. Now you can say they've been banged up, Eckler's been hurt, yada yada, but like the team is far too loaded, and they've lost just some disgusting games that they've had to win. They're sitting at 4-5. I don't know what to think about this team. And now I don't really know like I think we give Justin Herbert such a pass because again the stats are
Look
great,
great.
and it's easy to point the finger elsewhere. Staley's a loser. He plays for a loser franchise. Loser things are going to happen. But at some point, dude, like you have to go win a game in the fourth quarter, and he just time and time again comes up short. But give him a coach that's not a full blown loser. And see if this team with a new shot of DNA can do something. But man, what a disappointing start to like the Justin Herbert era of the Chargers, because this team has like just top to bottom roster construction. They've got to be one of the most 5 loaded rosters in the NFL, and they just
100%.
find ways to trip over themselves every single week.
And we saw a huge game from Keenan Allen in this performance as well. This is his 3rd game, only his 3rd game this season above 100 yards. As a prop better, have we looked at all leaning towards maybe, Keenan Allen receptions, Keenan Allen yards, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the targets are there. What, 8 receptions, 11 receptions in the last 3. I mean, it's just he's the safety valve, and especially if they're playing anybody that's running zone. I mean, he obliterates zone coverage. So he's automatic every week. I think they usually hang his receptions around 7.5. So if you can get it close to even money, like it's just you bet it until it doesn't hit, and he's been automatic the last month.
Hey, last thing before we let you go here. I know, as we both know you are, and many other people on social media, you're a big Penn State football fan. Can you give us some thoughts about the game? And as a Penn State fan, as a Big Ten football fan, as a Penn State alma mater, what do we feel about Harbaugh and Michigan and this whole scandal?
I don't care about the Harbaugh Michigan thing. I didn't like that they didn't let him go onto the sidelines, and I didn't like how late that they announced it. Only because, and I think Big Cat tweeted this, and it was just to me it was exactly what I felt. If we ended up winning this game, which I had no faith we were going to do anyway, but if we won this game, I feel like it would have given the excuse wagon on the other side, like, oh well, we were dealing with distractions all week, and we didn't have Harbaugh on the sidelines, and this, and it's just like I didn't want any of that. I wanted to beat them straight up, and I wanted there to be no side distraction. So I didn't really care, dude. Go steal your signs. Like I imagine other teams are doing it too. Like to me, it seems like a pretty big nothing burger. Although the story is hysterical when you really start to peel into it. For Penn Staters, I don't really know where we go from here. I'm not even upset because it's the same thing every single year. Like eventually, you stop getting upset when you lose to Ohio State and Michigan because it's all you've ever known. And I've been trying to like have a level-headed view of like the overall importance and value of James Franklin to Penn State, to the university, and to football. I mean, he's been a great ambassador. Like the program is in a better spot than it was when he got here. He's a great figurehead. And my God, he is an absolutely horrific head coach.
Horrible.
And I just don't know where you find the balance there. Usually the answer is, why don't you get a lights out O coordinator so they can be the de facto game day coach? But we've had one good one, and he went and got a job, Joe Moorhead, and then Franklin's ripped through the other 4. So I don't know where you go from here. He's under contract for the next like 10 years at like an exorbitant amount of money. And I don't know that moving away from him, like I don't know who the alternative is for the next head coach, but he has to be able to give up play calling completely and find an O coordinator that we can lock in for a few years. And my God, like find a way to win one big game.
Dude.
I'm just tired.
Brutal.
I'm very, very tired.
I
wasn't that pissed off, like, because I thought like the game was gonna go how it went. I was pissed off at the post game interview. Like, come on, dog. He's alive. He's in the crib. Like, we don't gotta cry like that. That just put me on.
Yeah, he said, "This one's for you. This one's for you, Chip."
Come on, bro. Like, whatever.
I just had to ask that as a big Penn State fan, and I did see that Big Cat tweet as well. And although I'm not a Penn State football fan, can easily 110% agree with that, because I know the excuses from Michigan would have been exactly what was tweeted and exactly what you said.
It's just like, hey, it's a great game. Like, I get the Harbaugh is a big story, and it's been like the lead up into the game was pretty heavy. But like, dude, at the end of the day, this is a massive game. Let's just focus on how important this massive matchup is in the Big Ten and in the college football. Within the future of the playoff here. And I just think the Harbaugh stuff, it just took too much attention away from the game, which I guess if you're a Penn State fan is a good thing because you can easily forget about it a little more. But it sucks, man. And I don't know how much is Aller to blame for just unfortunately being like the worst 5-star recruit I guess I've ever seen. But at the same time, like, they clearly have training wheels on him because they're afraid to let him throw too much. And this is what you get. So this is a sad Penn State fan who is just no longer has the energy to care about losses like this anymore.
Not many people can do it like Trace McSorley, man. Nine had the it factor. The it factor can't be taught, man.
Yeah, put some respect on the greatest QB that's ever
For
come from
real.
Penn State.
Hey, Kenny, thanks for week 10. We'll see you in week 11. Have a great day. And I'm seeing the Fortnite stream, so I'm having a lot of fun on the game, too. Hope you are, too.
Hey, where we dropping, man? Hit me up. Let's go tear up
Hey,
Tilted.
100%. We'd love to get on the stream and play with you,
All
man.
right, see you, fellas. Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, founder of the Moonshot, our Monday guy, Kenny McAndrews.
Yes,
Wow, what
sir.
another solid week with the boys.